So my mom has been through a lot of crazy stuff, right? But one of the craziest stories is one of the apartments where we were staying in, and she seen like a little boy running back and forth between like the bedroom and in the bathroom, right? And she thought it was my brother, but it turns out it was...
Please, I don't have any time for any gossip now. Huh? Yes.
Look at you.
Do something with it.
It's just money coming to me easily. Money coming in and needing me. Money coming in repeatedly. Money coming, it's just money coming. It's just money coming to me frequently. Money coming in to be with me. Money coming in secretly. Money coming, it's just money coming. It's just money coming to me always. Money coming in all day. Money coming in all pay. Money coming, it's just money coming. It's just money coming to me frequently. Money coming in to be with me. Money coming in secretly. Money coming, it's just money coming. It's just money coming to me easily. Money coming in and needing me. Money coming in repeatedly. Money coming, it's just money coming. It's just...
Welcome back to All Things Jenny. I'm Jenny, and welcome back to another episode of Spooky Storytime. Let's get...
So these ghost stories actually come from my mother, and she wanted me to tell the stories for her because she said that she didn't want to be on camera, and since I was online telling my stories, that I should tell some of hers too. So my mom has been through a lot of crazy stuff, right? But one of the craziest stories is one of the apartments where we were staying in, and she seen like a little boy running back and forth between like the bedroom and in the bathroom, right? And she thought it was my brother, but it turns out it was like a little ghost boy or whatever, right? He didn't do too much. He just, we all kind of saw him running back and forth in there. He scared the shit out of us. But one night where she went into that bathroom to take a shower, and she said that she had the lights out, but she had a candle on the sink, and the candle was on the sink underneath of the mirror, and the mirror was like a cabinet, right? And I think it was like 2 candles that were lit, and she also had a clear shower curtain so she could see the candles that were lit, sitting on the countertop, right? She's taking her shower, and she said she looked out of the shower curtain and she saw this, it looked like black smoke coming up from underneath of the mirror. So she threw back the shower curtain and she didn't see the smoke anymore. So she was like, okay, maybe like the cabinet's starting to burn or something like that. Let me blow out some of these candles. So she blew out some candles and she left one of them lit, and it wasn't like in an area where it can burn anything anymore. She gets back in the shower. And she looks out the shower curtain again, and then the black smoke is in the middle of the bathroom in front of the door, and she said it was like a cloud that like started to form up and down at the same time into like a person. And I don't know if she fainted a little bit or what, but she was like, the next thing she knew, she was basically like on all fours in the shower about to hit her face on the faucet. So to me it sounds like she kind of like fainted and almost hit the floor. But she stopped herself from hitting the faucet, and she got up and she snatched the shower curtain down and she wrapped it around herself like a towel, and she ran into her friend at the time who we were staying with, him and his girlfriend's room. She ran into their room, butt naked, sitting on the end of the bed, shivering, because she didn't know what that was. What do y'all think? Y'all want to hear more of her stories?
I'm doing Uber, and I just pulled up to a customer's house, and they live literally right next to a cemetery. Like, literally, they can walk into the cemetery. Like, let me tell y'all about the time I lived next to a cemetery, and I used to see ghosts in my house. So, when I was younger, my mom chose to move to the south, right? And our first time being there, like, the house just felt eerie all the fucking time. The house was just scary. It had a scare. You can feel when a ghost is in your presence. You really can feel it. Like, it just feels like a heavy energy is following you, literally. So how I found out that there were like spirits in the home or whatever, or ghosts, was my brother told me this, but I never believed him because I was young and I didn't even believe in ghosts like that, but it was real. So my mom used to let me stay home when she got off work. She was like, when you get off the bus, walk home, go in the house, lock the door, this and that, watch TV till I get there, basically. And like I said, I used to live next to a cemetery, so on the way home, I literally would have to walk past the cemetery to go home. So I would walk home, and then I'll be there by myself. Well, my older brother was supposed to be home with me, but he would have like friends that he would go outside and play with, or he would have like football practice. something like that. So normally it was me staying home alone. And I used to be home by myself, and I would be watching TV, and I would hear something heavy dragging in the attic. Like literally something, it would sound like a big, like a treasure chest dragging in the attic on top of me. Like literally I'm sitting there watching TV, it's silent, and then you will hear something dragging in the attic. Mind you, who's in the attic? Like there was multiple instances where I saw like ghost shit going on. And one time, like staying home by myself, I couldn't even sit in the house. Like I was outside waiting on my mom to come pick me up. I'm like, Mom, I can't do it, it's too scary. Like I'm hearing shit every single day. Like something, like literally, I don't know what that spirit was up there doing, but he was dragging a treasure chest or trying to open it, moving shit around literally.
Whenever I saw houses near cemeteries here, I always thought it was pretty cool because this is something that's common in America. But I know in Haiti, they don't really have that many houses near the cemetery. And if you do have a house near a cemetery, it's probably because it's a mystic, you know, someone who practices voodoo and all that stuff, that have a house near cemetery because they do a lot of work with like the dead and all that stuff, right? But houses next to a cemetery is not very common in Haiti at all. Although there might be one or two houses, like I said, it could belong to a mystic or something. But in Haiti's cemeteries, it's not like the ones here at all. Because at nighttime, you just might see a group of people raising the dead in the middle of the night, doing a whole ceremony in the cemetery in the middle of the night. And you also don't want to come across a champuel in the middle of the night near a cemetery, which is a very, very, very powerful demon in Haiti called a champuel. You don't want to stay next to it. I will have to make a video about a champuel because they're completely different from like a skinwalker and all that stuff. It's very, very, very different. And it's very powerful, first of all. And a lot of Haitians don't like to talk about champuels because they do take children and adults as well, and they do fly at nighttime, and they fly with like a trail of fire following them, and they go on top of your house and all that crazy stuff. But they're one of the most powerful demons in Haiti, and they call it champuel. But a lot of times during like ceremonies after someone has been buried, if they were killed by like voodoo, right? Somebody did something and they did voodoo for them on them, or they end up being unalive. At nighttime, the same night that they get buried, around midnight or 3 o'clock in the morning, a group of people who want to raise them back up will go to the cemetery, and then sometimes you see a champuel, somebody flying over with like a line of fire behind them. It's very, very interesting.
I want to just give y'all a little quick creepy story time of something that literally just happened to me last week. So for my job, right, just to give you a little, insight of like what I do, I am a brand ambassador. I guess you could say kind of like I'm not a sales representative necessarily, but I'm the person that helps the sales go through, if that makes any sense. For what I do, I go door to door. I knock on people's doors and I talk to them, and I try to get them appointments to get their windows inspected and to get an estimate, right? So anyways, I'm at work. This was last week, and we go to like different parts of my town, usually more rural and suburban areas, because there are a lot of people who own their homes in those areas. If you live in Rochester, New York, you know where Henrietta is. But anyway, we out there one day, and I go to this house, and when I walk up to the house, the screen door is closed, but like the entry door is like cracked open. So I'm just looking into the house through the screen door while the door is cracked, and I'm starting to notice a trend out in the suburbs. I hope that one of y'all could tell me, why the fuck do y'all leave y'all doors wide open? Y'all leave y'all doors cracked and just leave. What? Who does that? But anyways, that's besides the point. This person's door was cracked open. I hear the TV on, so I'm like, okay, maybe somebody is in the house sitting down watching TV, right? I go to knock on the door. I ring the doorbell. I knock on the door, and I just wait a second. And as I'm looking into the house, I kid you not, a black figure, as black as this motherfucking do-rag on my head, walks by the door. Like, walks by slowly. And I'm looking, and I'm like, at first it didn't click that it was just a black figure. At first I'm thinking that it's a person and somebody's going to come to the door. But then it took a second. I'm like, wait, there's no way that that could have been a person, because it was still light outside. I could see light in the house. I could make out, it was a lamp on a table. And if it was a person, I would have seen clothing. I would have seen skin tone. No, I seen a black figure, all black, walk past the door. Now, it was a mirror inside of the house. So I look into the mirror that's in the house because it will reflect the other side of the house that I cannot see. So I'm like, okay, maybe if I look in the mirror, maybe I'll see somebody, whatever. I look into that mirror, there's nobody in that house. To double check to make sure that I was not losing my fucking mind, because that is what the conclusion was by the end of the day, I knocked again. I rang the doorbell again. All I hear is a TV. I don't see nobody. I don't see no black figure. I didn't even hear footsteps when this thing walked by. And I was close enough. I was close. I was at the entry of this person's house, right in front of their front door. The house wasn't even that big. So what did I see? What did I see? A lot of the times when we knock these houses, we go door to door. Some houses do give me a very eerie feeling. I have had streets and areas where I know that there was a presence, a dark presence, that has made me feel uncomfortable, because I have a gift to be able to see through the veil. You get what I'm saying? So I just feel like it was one of those moments. And yeah, I haven't told nobody about the story. I'm still trying to process it. I still feel like I'm still to this day, I hope that that was a person. I pray that that was a person. But to me, logically, it couldn't have been a person, because I couldn't see no details. Like, I couldn't see no pants, no shirt, no color of shoes, no nothing, just all black.
Ghost was watching the house. That's exactly what was happening. As soon as you say white people leave their door wide open, I always think the same thing, because I live in a neighborhood, right? And the neighborhood is a very nice neighborhood. Nobody bothers anybody, and we have cops everywhere, right? Every other house is a cop that live there. People literally leave their door unlocked wide open. So I know exactly what you mean. But I think in that situation, the ghost was watching the house for them, so they were scared. And whatever you saw, it was probably a ghost. Because if the door was wide open, there's no one in the house, and you saw a black figure, unless it was a shadow of a person, it's definitely a ghost. And the ghost is there to monitor the house.
What's the creepiest experience you ever had in your life, and why you still think about that moment?
If y'all been following me for a while, y'all know I've had a lot of spooky, magical experiences growing up. And opposed to a lot of the other stuff I've seen, this one is kind of like PG. So growing up, I was raised by my two aunties, my grandmother, and my mother. And we all lived in the same house. One key thing I remember growing up was my grandmother's brother, because she only had one brother, would always come up to visit her at least once a month. And they were getting up there. They were old, because by the time I was born, my grandma was already in her 60s. Remember also, I've told you on other story times that my grandmother was psychic, because there's a psychic line that runs in my family. Oh, and also, side note, what you believe in is what you believe in. And I can vividly remember sometime when my grandmother would be sitting with her brother, and they would just be chopping it up, talking and gossip. My grandmother was so intuitive. She could literally tell you the stuff that you did in your day before you got to her house. And she would be accurate. My grandmother was so good. There's a common story that always goes through the family of my grandma was so psychic and intuitive that she would always tell my grandpa when he was cheating. And not like on some women intuition shit, because it could have been that. Like, she would always tell him, like, when he would take the train to Chicago and do his dirt, she would tell him the stuff he did, the place, the person, the woman's backstory, the shit they said in conversation, or pillow talk, if you know what I mean. And it would freak my grandpa out to the point where he would be calling my grandma a witch, even though that never stopped him. So occasionally in conversation when my grandma would be talking to her brother in their old age, she would tell him the things he did before he got to the house that day. And you know how them old school black men, they be like, I'll tell you this much, you ain't nothing more than a witch. But he say it playfully. You know how siblings are, especially siblings from like the 30s and the 40s. So moving forward, it's 2000. He gets sick. He's on his deathbed. My grandmother and my two aunties, they all travel down to Illinois to be by his side. Sadly, we know he's going to pass away, but now we're just like, when? So me and my mom stay back at the house waiting to get the call. And me and my mom are watching this TV in the living room. And my grandmother has around her house, she always had religious relics, statues, little figurines, pictures on the wall. And a key thing she had was 3 dove figurines that she could hang on the wall. And they were right next to that footprints in the sand religious picture, where you know the one where they're like, when you didn't see footprints, it's when I carried you, that shit. And when I tell you those 3 doves were on the wall since I was born, because you know how sometimes in those old school black elders' houses, they'll have shit sitting there for decades and they'll just have a layer of dust on. But you know better than to touch it because they'll slap your lips off if you do. So anyway, me and my mom are watching TV and we hear something fall off the wall in the dining room. We get up to go see, and we see that one of the doves fall. So instead of 3, there's 2 now. A second later, the phone rings. My mom goes to answer it, and it's my mom's sister telling them that their uncle died, my grandma's brother. My mom pulls out the couch, and she sends me behind the couch that had a lot of shit behind it to go look for it. We don't see anything. It disappears. It didn't break. It didn't shatter. It just vanishes. We tell my grandma, she's all nonchalant about it because, you know, she supernatural down. She's like, oh, it's good to know he made it to the other side. And to this day, we never were able to find that dove. It fell off the wall and vanished.
Tell me, what's the creepiest experience you ever had in your life?
All right, what's good, everybody? It's your man, B Boat, back to give you some real game this time. All right? Now, I've seen a lot of weird and creepy things in the 18 years I've done this job, all right? But the story I'm about to tell you is probably the creepiest. I remember it was 2007. Let me set it up. It was about 2007, and I remember that because it was the night the Bears played the Colts in the Super Bowl, and I had to work. Love to watch my Bears play, but I had to work, so I was trying to stop at certain places in between calls and catch a glimpse of the game. Well, we get a call way out in the boonies, and like outside the city limits or something like that. And it was way off, a place I had never been. I didn't know this little area existed, but I digress. So we go back way off into this dark cut, and I think it was a domestic call because I know another officer was with me. When we get there, half of the party had already left. I'm assuming it was a female. And so we go in there and we talk to the guy. And the guy says, listen, whatever y'all do, y'all keep her away from here. Because every time she comes, she brings that evil with her. That evil comes with her. So I kind of didn't pay it any mind, right? So we realized that the lady had left. He said everything was fine. Okay, we good. My partner leaves, and I kind of leave because I was kind of trying to eye the game while, you know, we were talking. And so I go ahead and leave. Now, again, this is way off in the backwoods, and the cut is extremely dark, pitch black. But he does have like a little lamp or light on the side of his house that would probably illuminate a span of about maybe 5 feet or so. He had a barn in the back of his house, and I heard some rustling when I came out of the house to go get in my car. And because of that little light that was on the side, I could barely see what it was back there. But what I saw looked like a huge black Doberman pinscher. This thing was humongous. Now, I stand about 6'3". This thing looks like it could stand on all fours and look me straight in the face. And I kind of caught a glimpse of it moving around back there. And I said, oh, wait, oh, no way. I noped out. I got in my car and left. I'm from Chicago. I'm not from the backwoods. I ain't used to seeing stuff like this, right? So I go ahead and I leave. I cut on the floodlight. I cut on the spotlight in my high beams because it's so dark back there. And so I drive off, and I notice this thing is galloping behind me. Now it's following me, and I could see it's like a huge dog. It just was too big to be a dog, but it wasn't a moose. We don't have moose here. The best way I could describe it is like a Doberman pinscher, right? So I take off about 45 miles an hour. I want to get away from this thing. And this thing is keeping up with me. Now, last I checked, here in North America, most of our land animals top off at about 35 miles an hour. So whatever this was, it was keeping up with no problem. I'm not going to be able to finish it. Come back for part.
I want to know about your first paranormal experience.
Holy crap. I'm 14
It's December. It's dark as fuck outside. My brother's telling me, hey, mom is calling you and asking for you in the chicken coop. She's looking for you. And I'm thinking, okay. So I go outside and it's dark. I'm scared of the dark, but my mom's out there, so I should be safe.
Right.
The chicken coop is pitch black, and I open the gate and I go, Mom? And she goes, I'm in here. And as I take one step in, my brother at the house opens the back door and screams, Ariana, it turns out mom's in the living room. She's right here right now. She's asking for you. And I have my hand on the gate and I look at my brother and then I look into the darkness that is the chicken coop. If my mom was in the living room, who the fuck just called me in that darkness? Who was in there? It sounded just like my mom. I ran so fast. So fast. No.
First of all, hell no, that sounded like a mimic to me. And secondly, did your brother hear it directly from your mom that he should go look for you? Or did he simply hear the voice from the chicken coop calling for you and that's why he sent you there? Because what do you mean? Where did you get the message from? That is one thing that we have in Haiti. When people call you, if you hear your name being called, you do not answer yes because you never know, that could be a mimic. So we also have mimics in Haiti, and that's one of the reasons why we say do not respond yes.
So nobody likes to tell any ghost stories, spooky stories, whatever you call it, supernatural stories, and share like real stories like that or things that occurred to them, because nobody wants to feel like everybody thinks you're crazy. But I remember sharing a story one night at work, and everybody from all walks of life started sharing their own stories, and it turns out everybody's got a scary story. So I have two. There's one I don't talk about because it still terrifies me because I know I would have died. But there's the first occurrence I don't mind sharing because it doesn't scare me as bad now. But it was a crazy event, but it's a shared experience. So I have a witness for this one. But if you like this story that I'm about to tell you, and you want to hear the other one, comment below and share your own stories if you have any. There was one night, my sister and I was about 18 or 19. She's 4 years older than me. And we both lived at home in Detroit, Michigan, in this older home. It was like 1 a.m. I was the only one up. Everybody else was upstairs asleep. And I heard my sister calling me really softly, which was already weird because we're a loud family. So it's like, why are you whispering? What is happening? But she was going, Reese. And I'm like, what? She goes, come here. Well, I'm downstairs, I'm watching Friends, and I didn't feel like getting up. I didn't respond to her, but I thought to myself in my head, like, I'll go in once it goes to commercial. Luckily for her, it went to commercial just then. So I was just like, okay. So I go to run up the stairs, like, just being silly, just kind of jogging up the stairs. Our bathroom was at the top of the stairs and the light was on. And we usually leave the light on so that it could illuminate the hallway and the stairs. Our light was on, and I get to the top of the landing and I jumped once I got on the landing, and I was like, okay, I'm here. And I looked down the hallway, which is not a long hallway, so the bathroom should have illuminated it, but the hallway was uber dark, like really dark. And I remember thinking, like, why is it so dark down there? But I'm still walking towards her door. And just as I get to the entryway to her bedroom door, which was across from mine, it was like, and her door was open, but just as I get to the entryway, it was like I felt a breeze, like something moved really fast past me. And it startled me because I remember I kind of like stepped back, and then I like put my back against the wall in the hallway, kind of like, what the heck was that? But I couldn't see. So I remember like reaching around behind me into her room and flipping the switch, hoping to see like, what the heck was that? And just as I did that, of course I don't see anything, but I like turned and like peeked in her room so I can be like, what's going on? As soon as I look at her, she's got the covers up to her chin, and she's like staring at the ceiling, shaking. She's like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. She's like, Reese? And I'm like, yeah. And she was like, she said she woke up and her room was pitch black. And she felt real uncomfortable. And she's like, why is it so dark? She started calling me thinking I was in bed across the hall. And she was like scared to get up because it was just a weird feeling. And she said she called me. I said, what? And she was like, come here. Well, she said about like a minute or two after she called me, she heard me say, here I am. And she's like, where are you? I can't see. Turn the light on. And just as she said that, she heard me down the hall go, okay, I'm here. Now, that might not scare you, but I can promise you, anybody in my community, usually we don't jive with that. Like, nah, dog. We woke my mother up. Ma, get the oil, start praying. I don't know what just happened, but we both kind of had a weird moment right now, and I don't know what's going on. But yeah, that was my little spooky story. But like I said, I have a second one which was actually terrifying, and I know people are not gonna believe me, especially if you don't believe me on this one. But if you want to hear that one, I will work up the courage and tell that story, but you got to tell me down below. All right.
So one rainy afternoon, I was on TikTok talking about my favorite piece of jewelry that I purchased in Barcelona, Spain a few months ago. And I was talking about how I lost the piece that I love so much. So Eerily reached out to me and sent me 4 pieces of their jewelry. So Eerily is a Europe-based jewelry company. And when I tell you I was pleasantly surprised at the quality of these pieces, I mean, as a jewelry girly, I can tell when a piece of jewelry is not great quality. So as soon as I opened my box, I was so shocked. When I tell you, I try to capture every angle of the jewelry so you can see how beautiful they are. Timeless. And not only did they send me 4 pieces of jewelry, but they also gave me 60% off for anyone who would like to use my code Jenny to get 60% off some of, a piece of jewelry from Eerily. They are gorgeous, they are timeless, and the quality is amazing. They're going to be in conversational piece. I mean, people are going to ask you where you get your jewelry from. They are so beautiful, elegant, fashionable, lovely. I can't even describe them more. They're gorgeous. Don't walk, run to get your piece because you're getting 60% off. Use the code Jenny, that's JENNY, to get 60% off from this amazing, beautiful jewelry company, Eerily. Hey y'all, welcome back to All Things Jenny. I'm Jenny. Once again, I have found myself on the messy side of TikTok. Imagine your sister, your blood sister, is pregnant with your baby daddy's baby. So you're an aunt